Okay, I want you to try a little visualization exercise with me. Just for a second, if you can, close your eyes. Imagine you are standing inside a building.
Okay.
And it's not just any building, it's on fire. You can feel the heat, radiating off the walls. You can smell that acrid smoke. Your skin is literally starting to blister. It's a complete nightmare
All
scenario.
right. Primal fear.
Exactly. But here's the thing. There is a door right in front of you. It's unlocked. It's actually open. You can see the street outside. You can see the cool air. You can see safety just like 3 steps away.
So logic would dictate you run, right? I mean, you sprint through that door without a second thought.
That's what every single survival instinct in your body should be screaming at you to do. But in this scenario, you don't. You stay.
You stay in the fire.
You stay. And it's not because you're trapped under debris or anything like that. It's because you feel this magnetic, almost desperate pull to remain in the flames. You know the fire's killing you.
Cognitively, you know.
100%. You know it's destroying your future. But the idea of stepping out that door, it feels more terrifying than burning to death.
That is. Wow. That's a really visceral image. It's uncomfortable to even picture.
It is. It's supposed to be. But that image is really the only way I can wrap my head around what we were talking about today. Because from the outside, the topic of trauma bonding makes absolutely zero sense.
None at all.
Why would any rational person stay with a partner they know, logically, consciously know, is ruining their life?
And we're not talking about, minor annoyances like he leaves his socks on the floor. We're talking about situations where people are failing out of university,
Losing their job.
alienating every friend they have, their family. We're talking about suffering actual physical health collapse. And yet they stay.
It is the ultimate paradox. And, usually society looks at this and just says, well, they must be stupid or they're just weak. Or my least favorite, they like the drama.
Which is so incredibly damaging and, to put it bluntly, just wrong. The answer isn't some kind of character flaw. The answer is biology. It's neurochemistry.
So today on the deep dive, we're going to try and dismantle that judgment. We're going to look at the actual mechanics of the trauma bond.
Look under the hood.
We have a massive stack of research today because I really, really wanted to get this right. We're not just relying on, dry textbooks. We have a really intense real-time case study from a Reddit support community.
Which one?
It's called Rebusive Relationships. And let me tell you, this is raw, unedited human experience. It's tough to read.
And to make sense of that raw experience, we're layering in the clinical breakdowns from Psychology Today so we can get our definitions straight.
And we also have medical definitions and, importantly, recovery strategies from Healthline. So we have the human, the clinical, and the medical angles.
A full picture.
So the mission is pretty simple. We want to decode the trap. We want to understand the neurochemistry of control. So whether you're listening because you have a friend who is stuck and you just want to shake them,
We've all been there.
or maybe you're just curious about psychology, or I know this might be the case for some of you, you're listening and you're realizing we are describing your life.
And if that is you, if any of this is ringing a bell, just keep listening. We're going to explain why those invisible chains feel so heavy, and maybe more importantly, how the lock works.
So let's start with the phrase itself, trauma bonding. It's having a bit of a moment, on TikTok and Instagram right now. I feel like I hear it everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's become a total buzzword.
Right? It's like, oh, my roommate and I trauma bonded because our landlord is a nightmare.
Or we trauma bonded because we both failed that calculus exam.
Yeah.
It's used so casually.
Exactly. So is that accurate? Is that what we're actually talking about today?
No. And I'm so glad we're starting here because that is a colloquial misuse of the term that really muddies the waters. It takes the teeth out of it.
Oh, so.
According to Psychology Today, bonding with someone over a shared difficult experience like that bad landlord or a tough exam, that's just bonding. It's camaraderie. It's normal.
Okay.
A true trauma bond, in the clinical sense, is very, very specific. It is an emotional attachment that forms between a victim and their perpetrator.
Whoa. So it's not we went through hell together. It's you put me through hell and I am now bonded to you because of it.
Precisely. That is the critical distinction. The bond is created by the cycle of abuse itself. It's a mechanism of survival, not friendship. You might hear it compared to Stockholm Syndrome.
Right. That's where hostages start to sympathize with, or even fall in love with their kidnappers.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And Stockholm Syndrome is actually a really specific subset of trauma bonding. But trauma bonding is the larger umbrella term. It can happen in any relationship with a significant power imbalance and a cycle of abuse.
So it's a connection that to the outside world might look like incredible loyalty. It might even feel like intense love to the person inside it.
Exactly. But under the hood, it drives like a heroin addiction.
Okay, to ground this, I really want to bring in our Reddit case study. This isn't a hypothetical. This is a real person, a 21-year-old student who posted on abusive relationships.
Yeah.
And reading their story, honestly, it was just heartbreaking.
It's hard to read that stuff firsthand.
It is. They detailed a cycle that I think a lot of people will recognize even if they don't have the words for it. They had broken up with their partner 4 times already.
4 times. And that number is so significant. It shows that the logical part of their brain is absolutely working. It's trying to leave, but the bond keeps snapping them back like a rubber band.
They wrote, and this is a direct quote, "I just can't let go. Every time I do, I crawl back to him." They described feeling completely powerless, disgusted by the thought of him with anyone else, and just totally stripped of all self-esteem.
It's that classic erosion of self. The
Well,
person you were before the relationship just gets whittled away.
But here is the kicker. Here's the part that does not make sense on paper.
Hmm.
They wrote, "The only one who can quell my pain is him."
And stop right there. That sentence, that is the smoking gun.
Explain that.
The only one who can quell my pain is him. Think about that. The source of the pain is also the source of the relief.
But he's the one causing the pain. He's the reason they are failing their classes. He's the reason they're consistently late for work. He's the reason they're having panic attacks.
And that is the absolute definition of the trauma bond. The person causing the injury is also perceived as the only cure. The brain has literally been rewired to view the source of the threat as the source of safety.
How does that even happen? I mean, I consider myself a fairly logical person. If I touch a hot stove, my brain doesn't bond with the stove.
Well,
I pull my hand away and I learn, don't touch the hot stove. How does the brain get hacked to do the complete opposite?
it comes down to what might be the single most powerful psychological force we know of. It's a principle called intermittent reinforcement.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this sounds like jargon, but I have a feeling it's the key that unlocks this whole thing.
It is the absolute key. Psychology today uses the analogy of a slot machine to explain it, and I think it's just perfect.
Okay, good. I spent a little time in casinos, so I'm with you so far.
All right, so imagine a vending machine. Put $1 in, you get a soda. Every single time. It's predictable, it's reliable.
Boring, but useful if you're thirsty.
Right. Now imagine you put $1 in that same machine and nothing comes out. You do it again. Still nothing. You try it 10 times, what do?
I kick the machine, call it a piece of junk, and I walk away. It's broken. I'm not wasting any more money.
Exactly. Consistent negative reinforcement, or just a consistent lack of reward, makes you leave. You disengage. Now, let's switch to the slot machine. You pull the lever, nothing. You pull it again, nothing. You pull it a third time, and suddenly, ding, 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 the lights go off, the bells ring, you win $50.
That rush, the dopamine hit.
The rush, your brain gets a massive flood of dopamine. Now, here is the crucial part. You have no idea when the next win is coming. It could be the very next pull, or it could be in 100 pulls. The unpredictability is the point.
So I just keep pulling, just in case this is the one.
You stay glued to that seat for hours. That is intermittent reinforcement. The reward is random and unpredictable. And because it's unpredictable, the brain scans for it constantly. It doesn't get bored, it gets hooked. It heightens the desire.
Okay, so map this onto a relationship. This is fascinating.
If a partner was abusive 100% of the time, if they were just cruel and critical every single day from the moment you met, you would leave. That's the broken vending machine.
Right, there's no hook, there's no reward to keep you there.
But an abuser doesn't do that. That's not how it works. They mix the cruelty with what some people call breadcrumbing.
The Reddit user actually used that exact word.
It's small, unpredictable moments of affection, a sudden apology, a random gift, a night where they are, out of the blue, the charming, wonderful person you fell in love with again.
So the victim is just sitting there enduring the screaming and the silent treatment, which are the losses.
Yes.
Just pulling that lever, waiting for that one moment where he says, "I love you," or brings home flowers. That's the jackpot.
Yes. And because that payout of kindness is so rare and unpredictable, the brain values it way, way more than it would in a healthy relationship. Think about it. In a healthy relationship, kindness is the baseline. It's the vending machine. It's expected.
It's not a jackpot, it's
Yeah.
just the soda you paid for.
In an abusive relationship, kindness is a lottery win. And the brain latches onto it with an intensity that is chemically, neurologically identical to a gambling addiction.
That makes the Reddit user's comment just so much more tragic. They explicitly said because the breadcrumbing feels so good, they know they're being played on some
Oh,
level.
yeah.
But the chemical hit from that breadcrumb is just too strong to resist.
It's not just good, it's relief. It's the cessation of pain. And this brings us right to the biology of it all and to the analogy of the dealer.
The dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was an analogy from the Reddit thread that really it stopped me in my tracks. One commenter told the original poster, "You are addicted, and he is the dealer. And frankly, this is more addicting than heroin."
It sounds like hyperbole, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds like something you'd say just to be dramatic.
It really does. More addicting than heroin. Is there any actual scientific weight to that claim?
Shockingly, yes. The neurochemistry is strikingly, frighteningly similar. Think about the chemical cocktail that's brewing in the victim's body.
Okay.
When the abuse is happening, the yelling, the silent treatment, the threats, the body is just flooded with cortisol and adrenaline.
The stress hormones, fight or flight, or freeze.
Total state of alarm, high stress, high anxiety. Your body is screaming at you that you are in danger. You are in physical and emotional pain. That is the withdrawal state.
Okay, I'm with you.
And then the abuser decides to be nice. They pull you into a hug. They say, "I'm so sorry. I just love you so much. I didn't mean it." What happens in your brain?
Just overwhelming relief.
Chemical relief.
Yeah.
The body releases a flood of dopamine, which is the reward chemical, and oxytocin, the bonding or cuddle hormone. So you go from the absolute depths of cortisol hell to the euphoric heights of dopamine heaven in an instant.
And that contrast must be incredibly intense.
It's euphoric. It's a much bigger high than just a normal hug on a Tuesday in a stable relationship.
Mm.
And here's where that dealer analogy is just perfect. The abuser is the one causing the sickness. They are creating the cortisol pain state.
Right.
But they're also the only one who can provide the medicine, the dopamine and oxytocin that makes the pain go away.
Wow. They create the problem and then they sell you the solution.
Exactly. So the brain begins to form this powerful, perverse association.
Yeah.
The abuser is no longer just the source of the pain. They become the only source of relief from that pain.
Yeah.
This creates the biological loop.
It goes right back to the Reddit user's quote. "The only one who can quell my pain is him." That isn't a romantic statement.
It's a statement of chemical dependency.
Yeah.
That is the addict talking about the drug.
And so when you try to leave, the withdrawal has to be real. I think most people assume leaving a bad relationship just means you'll be sad for a while, you'll eat some ice cream, watch sad movies.
Oh, it's so much more visceral than that.
Mhm.
We are talking about physiological withdrawal. Both Healthline and the people in the Reddit thread describe something much, much more physical.
Like what?
We aren't talking about just missing someone. We are talking about your body in full-blown detox. The sources list symptoms like physical chest pain, that heartache is actually cardiac stress, as well as shortness of breath, trembling, and inability to eat or sleep.
The Reddit poster said they can't complete basic daily tasks anymore. They're failing out of university. They are literally incapacitated by this.
Because their body is in a state of crisis. It is screaming for the dopamine hit it has been conditioned to expect from that one specific person. And unlike an addiction to, say, heroin, where you can go to a clinic and the heroin doesn't have your phone number.
The heroin doesn't text you. Wow.
In this case, the drug can drive to your house. The drug can call you 50 times and tell you it loves you and that it's sorry and it will change. Imagine trying to quit smoking if your cigarettes could talk to you and beg you to smoke them.
That's a terrifying thought. It really reframes the whole "why don't they just leave" question, doesn't it?
Completely. It's like asking someone, why don't you just stop having the flu? It requires a massive conscious override of some very deep biological programming.
So, okay, we've got the definition down and we've got the chemistry, but how does this actually start? Because I have to assume no one goes on a first date, gets screamed at, and thinks, you know what, sign me up for a few years of intermittent reinforcement, please.
Class. No, absolutely not. If it started with abuse, no one would ever stay. The trap has to be built piece by piece.
So there's a process.
There is. Psychology Today and Healthline both outline this architecture, and it usually follows 7 pretty distinct stages.
7 stages. Okay, let's do this. Walk us through the architecture of the bomb. How is it built?
Stage 1 is the hook. It's a term you've probably heard, love bombing.
I have heard this term, yeah. It's that too good to be true phase at the beginning.
It's the Disney fairy tale phase, but on steroids. It's not just compliments, it's constant communication, it's grand gestures, it's being told you are soulmates after 2 weeks. It's an overwhelming, intense focus on you.
But that must feel incredible. I mean, who doesn't want to be adored like that?
And that's exactly why it works so well. It's intoxicating. But the purpose of love bombing isn't genuine affection, it's data collection. And it's about setting a baseline.
Data collection? What do you mean?
The abuser is learning all your insecurities, your dreams, your past traumas, and they are mirroring them back to you. They are creating a phantom version of themselves, the perfect partner designed specifically for you.
So later, when things get bad, you're not thinking about the current reality. You're thinking, but I know he's a good guy deep down. I remember the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You spend the rest of the relationship desperately trying to get back to the ghost of stage one, which, of course, never really existed.
So what's next after the love bombing?
Then comes stage two, gaining trust and dependency. This happens fast. You might move in together very quickly. You share bank accounts.
Yeah.
You start to isolate yourself from friends because you're just so wrapped up in this soulmate. You're building a world with just the two of you in it.
And once you're locked in and isolated, the mask starts to slip.
That's stage three, criticism and devaluation. And it's subtle at first. It's rarely a punch in the face. It's a joke about your weight that stings a little too much. It's a comment that you talk too much at parties. It's the slow, creeping shift from you can do no wrong to you can do no right.
And because of stage one, you don't blame them. You blame yourself. You think, I must have changed. I need to be better. I need to fix this so we can get back to how it was.
Which leads directly into stage four, gaslighting and manipulation.
The mind game.
The mind games. When you finally try to say, hey, what you said last night really hurt my feelings, they tell you you're crazy.
I never said that.
You're being too sensitive. You're imagining things. That's not how it happened. They systematically dismantle your trust in your own reality, in your own memory.
That is honestly the scariest part to me. The idea of losing your own mind.
It leads to stage five, resignation and submission. You just stop fighting. You give up. It's easier to just agree to keep the peace. You start fawning, doing whatever they want, anticipating their needs, just to avoid the criticism or the argument.
And then where does it go from there?
Stage six, distress and loss of self. This is where our Reddit user is. They wrote, I have no self-esteem left. You aren't really a person anymore. You're just an extension of the abuser, existing solely to manage their emotions and needs. Your own identity is gone.
And the final stage. Stage 7.
Repetition. The cycle starts all over again.
Yeah.
Just as you're at your breaking point, just as you're about to leave, they throw you a crumb, a little bit of love bombing, a tearful apology, romantic dinner.
A glimpse of the person from stage 1.
And you think, oh, he's back. We're back to the beginning. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the trap snaps shut again.
It's a machine. I mean, when you lay it out like that, it is a perfectly designed machine for psychological entrapment.
It really is.
And Psychology Today points out some key signs that you might be in this, signs that might feel really contradictory to the person experiencing them. One that stood out to me was cognitive dissonance.
This is huge.
Yeah.
And it's a massive source of shame for victims. Cognitive dissonance is that uncomfortable mental state of holding two completely conflicting beliefs at the same time.
So in this case, it's, I love this person and I can't live without them.
And at the very same time, I hate how this person treats me, and I don't actually like them as a person.
That's the thing that's so hard to grasp. You can be addicted to someone you don't even like.
Yes, you can feel disgust or anger or deep resentment. Psychology Today notes that victims often realize, in moments of clarity, that they don't like their partner, they don't respect them, but the addiction, the chemical bond, overrides that preference.
Another sign they mentioned is hypervigilance, that feeling of constantly walking on eggshells.
It's a state of constant low-grade terror. Always scanning the environment. Is he in a good mood? Did the door just slam? Is dinner ready on time? Your entire nervous system is constantly tuned to their frequency to try and predict and prevent the next blow-up. It is absolutely exhausting.
Okay, so we see the trap, we see the biology, we see the stages, but I have to ask, why some people and not others? Is it just bad luck? Or are some of us more vulnerable to this kind of psychological hacking?
It's a mixture of both. I want to be clear. Anyone from any background can fall into this. Abusers are very skilled manipulators.
Huh.
But yes, psychology today is clear that your personal history plays a massive role. And it's not about being weak, it's about familiarity.
Familiarity. You mean what you experienced in childhood?
Exactly. If you grew up with caregivers who are inconsistent, who are loving one minute and critical or neglectful the next, then that cycle of chaos feels like home. It feels normal. It feels familiar.
So a healthy, stable, predictable partner might actually feel boring or even untrustworthy.
Exactly. Or suspicious. What are they hiding? Why are they being so nice? If your brain was wired from a young age to associate love with pain and anxiety, then a partner who causes you pain and anxiety will trigger that deep subconscious recognition of, this is what love feels like.
Wow. So you aren't walking into a fire blindly. You're walking into a burning building because, on some level, it looks like your childhood bedroom.
That is a profound and tragic way to put it, but yes, that's often what's happening beneath the surface.
Healthline also brings up the freeze response. We always talk about fight or flight.
Right, but there are two other common trauma responses: freeze and fawn.
Fawn, meaning like people pleasing.
It's appeasing the threat to survive. If you can't fight the lion and you can't outrun the lion, maybe if you pet the lion and give it a steak, it won't eat you today.
Yeah.
That is fawning. It's not a conscious choice, it's a deeply ingrained survival instinct.
So if you are staying and taking it, it's often because your body has decided that appeasement is the only strategy that will ensure your survival in that moment.
Yes, it's not weakness, it's survival.
There was also a very specific and I thought really insightful detail in the Reddit case study about age. The user is 21, and one of the commenters brought up brain development.
Yes, the prefrontal cortex. This is so important. We know now from neuroscience that the human brain doesn't finish developing until around age 25.
And the prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that's responsible for what exactly?
It's your brain's CEO. It handles executive functions, things like rational decision making, impulse control, weighing future consequences, delaying gratification.
So literally all the things you would need to successfully leave an abusive relationship.
Exactly. At 21, your emotional brain, the limbic system, is fully fired up and running at 100%. But your brakes, your prefrontal cortex's ability to say, this hurts a lot right now, but leaving will be better for me in a year, that part is still under construction.
The now feels like forever.
It does. And that developmental stage makes the chemical pull of the trauma bond significantly harder to break free from.
Okay. We've been in the dark for a while here. This is heavy stuff. We've mapped out the trap in excruciating detail. Now we need to map out the escape. Because people do get out.
You absolutely do. It is possible. I want to stress that.
So how do you break a bond that is chemical, psychological, and maybe even rooted in your earliest childhood experiences? Where do you even start?
All the sources are pretty much unanimous on this. Psychology Today, Healthline, the entire Reddit community, they all agree on one core method:
What is it?
cold turkey.
No weaning off. No, let's just try to be friends.
Absolutely not. You cannot be friends with your dealer. You cannot taper off an abuser. Every text message, every accidental run-in, every time you check their Instagram, it just gives your brain a microdose of the drug.
Yeah.
It resets the clock on your withdrawal.
So this leads to the infamous no contact rule.
Total and complete separation. Block the phone number. Block all the social media accounts. Filter their emails to a separate folder you never look at. And if it's at all possible, create physical distance.
The Reddit users really emphasize this.
Yeah, one user advised moving cities, or if that's not possible, just taking a long vacation for a few weeks. You have to remove the stimulus from your environment completely to give your brain a fighting chance to reset.
But we talked about the withdrawal, the physical sickness, the heart palpitations, the panic. That's going to happen the second you go no contact.
It is 100% guaranteed to happen, and you have to expect it and prepare for it.
Yeah.
But there was a brilliant piece of advice in that Reddit thread about having a timeline.
You're talking about the 2 weeks rule.
The 2 weeks rule, yes.
Yep.
A user who had been through it mentioned that the acute physical withdrawal, that gut-wrenching, I am going to die feeling, it peaks, and then it begins to subside after about 2 weeks.
That is so incredibly helpful. Just having a number, a tangible goal.
It gives you a finish line to run towards.
Yeah.
When you are shaking on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. wanting to call them, you can tell yourself, I just have to get to day 14. Just get through today. It turns an infinite, terrifying struggle into a finite endurance test.
You can white knuckle your way through almost anything for 2 weeks if you know there's an end in sight.
You can.
There was another piece of advice from the Reddit thread that I found. Honestly, it gave me chills. But it's just so incredibly practical and important. It was about secret safety.
Ah, the birth control advice.
Yeah, a user strongly advised getting on a form of semi-permanent birth control, like an IUD or an implant, and not telling the partner.
This speaks to the absolute darkness of some of these dynamics. It's a defense against something called reproductive coercion.
Which is when an abuser tries to trap their victim permanently through pregnancy.
Yes. Oops, the condom broke. Or they'll poke holes in them. They'll hide your birth control pills. It's a terrifyingly common tactic of control.
So taking that control back secretly is a shield. It's a form of insurance.
It prevents the trap from becoming an 18-year sentence. It ensures that whenever you do find the strength and the window of opportunity to run, you are running alone.
Healthline also suggests some really important mindset shifts because, as we've established, your brain is actively lying to you during this process.
The first one is fact-checking reality. Because of all the gaslighting, you can't trust your own memory. So you have to write it down. Keep a secret journal or a note on your phone. Write down the facts. Today, he yelled at me for 20 minutes because I bought the wrong brand of milk.
And then a few days later, when he's being sweet and says, "Baby, I never yelled at you. I just mentioned the milk," you can look at the paper.
And the paper doesn't lie. It doesn't get confused. It anchors you in objective reality when your own mind is a storm.
Another one was the aerial view technique. I liked this one.
Yeah, this is a great psychological trick. Pretend you're a ghost floating on the ceiling, watching the relationship from above. Or pretend you're reading a transcript of your last fight in a book.
If I read a book where the main character was being called names and crying every single day.
You'd be screaming at the page, "Get out! What are you doing? He's a monster!" It helps you detach from the emotional storm and see the abuse for what it is without the filter of your own complicated feelings and chemical bonds.
So now let's talk about the other side. Because the fear, the thing that keeps people in that burning building, is the deeply held belief that if I leave, I will be broken forever. I will be alone. The pain will never end. I will never recover.
That is the biggest lie the trauma bond tells you. But the Reddit thread is just full of people who are on the other side. And their stories are the best evidence we have that this is not true.
There was one success story in particular that really stuck with me. This user was preparing for the worst. They expected to be devastated. They thought they would mourn the loss of this person for years.
And instead,
They felt lighter almost immediately.
that is the common surprise. The moment that constant toxic drip of cortisol is turned off, the body just exhales. This user even mentioned that their hair stopped falling out.
That's such a visceral physical detail, isn't it? The stress was literally making them go bald, and leaving was the cure. It brought their physical health back.
And they had a profound realization about their mental health too, about their anxiety.
Oh, right. They said they always thought they just had a generalized anxiety disorder. They'd even been medicating for it. But once they left the relationship, the anxiety vanished.
Come on.
They didn't have an anxiety disorder. They had a predator living in the house.
Precisely. You weren't anxious. You were in danger. Your body was responding appropriately to a threatening environment. You change the environment, you cure the disease.
But what about the anger? The user mentioned being absolutely furious about all the wasted time. I can imagine that being a huge hurdle.
And that is completely valid. You gave your best years, your love, your energy to avoid. But that anger is fuel. It's actually much better than sadness. Anger protects you. It builds a wall and keeps you from going back. And eventually you start to reconnect. The user mentioned rebuilding friendships they thought were gone forever.
It's true. Most of the time, your real friends are just waiting on the sidelines for you to come back.
They are. The isolation is almost always reversible.
So on the other side of that 2 weeks of hell that you have to endure is just life. Normal, boring, beautiful, peaceful life.
Yes. As one Reddit user put it so perfectly, the choice is ultimately between the temporary acute pain of leaving or the permanent chronic pain of staying.
That's the equation. A short, sharp pain that leads to healing versus a chronic, low-grade ache that lasts a lifetime.
And the good news about neurochemistry is that the brain is plastic. It heals. The dopamine receptors reset. You can learn to find joy in a sunset again, or a good cup of coffee, or a conversation with a friend, or eventually a healthy partner. You don't need the jackpot anymore.
This has been a really heavy deep dive. I think maybe the heaviest one we've done so far. But in a strange way, I also think it's incredibly hopeful. We've gone from the hook of the burning building to the biology of the slot machine, through the 7 stages of the trap, and finally, we found the door. We found the escape plan.
It's a journey from confusion to clarity. And I think the most important takeaway is that the bond is a mechanism. It's a biological hack. It is not love, and it is not destiny.
I want to end with a thought from that Reddit thread that really, really stuck with me. It's a question for anyone listening who might be in this situation or who knows someone who is.
The alternate reality question.
Yes, the user asked. Imagine an alternate reality where this person simply doesn't exist in your life, where you have already kicked them to the curb.
Yeah.
And then they pose this question.
What if the power to heal wasn't in their apology, but in your ability to simply endure 2 weeks of silence?
That just hits so hard. We wait for them to fix us, for them to give us closure. But they can't. They're the ones who broke us.
No, closure isn't something they can ever give you. It's something you give yourself by walking through that door and locking it firmly behind you.
And realizing, as Healthline says, that you always have a choice. Even when your own brain chemistry is screaming at you that you don't, the choice is always there. It's just very, very hard to reach.
And before we sign off, we absolutely need to add a serious disclaimer here.
Yes, 100%. We are analyzing sources today, Reddit, Psychology Today, Healthline. We are not doctors. We are not therapists.
Trauma bonds are incredibly difficult and sometimes dangerous to break alone. Often, professional help is necessary and is the safest option. A good trauma-informed therapist can be a game changer.
And if you are in immediate danger, please contact your local domestic violence resources or a hotline. You do not have to do this alone. There is help out there.
Please reach out.
Thank you for listening to this deep dive. I know it's not an easy topic, but understanding the machinery is always the first step to dismantling it.
Knowledge is the wire cutter.
We'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourself.